What's up, guys? M. Jones back in the car again for another in-theater review. My wife and I, my beautiful wife and I, we just got out of seeing the movie Rough Night that stars Scarlett Johansson, Kate McKinnon, Jillian Bell, who's always out of control, rambunctious, Ilana Glazer, and Zoe Kravitz were the main characters. This movie, it reminded me of that movie that came out back in the 90s. With the guy, it's the guy version of the five guys and a stripper dies kind of thing. And I forget the name of that movie, but I think Daniel Stern was in that movie. And it was a pretty funny movie back in the day. But this movie definitely was a little crazy. I've never heard of the director. I'm pretty sure it's a female. I think her name was Lucia, like Aniello or Aniello, but she wrote and directed this movie. It had its funny moments. But it really missed out on a lot of things. It was very irritating at times to watch the movie. It was like my wife was telling me how anxious she was getting to watch this movie, and I was getting a little anxious too. But we did laugh at a lot of parts, but it was just really out of control. But basically, Scarlett Johansson is going to get married, and her husband to be seems like a very emasculated, like, good guy. But either way, he was pretty cool. But they're supposed to go on a bachelorette trip to Miami, Florida. I think they were like in Washington, D.C., if I had that right. So they flew down to Miami, Florida, and Scarlett Johansson is going to be a potential politician. So she had like some kind of inn to stay at this really nice house right on the beach in Miami. So that was kind of nuts. And her friends were, like I said, were Jillian Bell, Zoe Kravitz, and Ilana Glazer. And Jillian Bell is like this really intense, like, second grade school teacher, and Ilana Glazer plays this like activist that hates everything and cops, and then Zoe Kravitz, I guess, was kind of like an attorney. I really don't know who she was, but she was very like chic-like and just, you know, super important in her own mind. But they're all best friends from college, so they get together, and then all of a sudden, Scarlett Johansson also invited her really good friend from Australia, who was Kate McKinnon, who had a pretty awful Australian accent. But I guess they were friends from studying abroad. So they all go there, and this guy shows up, which they think is a male stripper at this house, and he gets killed accidentally from horsing around with the girls. And so they try to hide the body. When they think they're going to get in trouble, then they try to dispose of the body. Like, so much stuff happens, and then another stripper comes who plays a cop, pretending to be a cop, and he's also a stripper, and he gets like injured. I don't want to ruin the whole movie for you, but it's just crazy, and it was total paranoia for all the people in the theater. But again, my wife and I, we did have a pretty good time watching it, but it just made you anxious because they were just making so many mistakes. And I must say, as a side note, Scarlett Johansson's not that good of an actress. Like, I noticed that finally. Out of all this time, she's not a very good actress. Like, she was really bad in this movie. Jillian Bell, I really think she tries way too hard to be funny. Like, Melissa McCarthy is extremely funny, and I always use her as the standard. And I felt like Jillian Bell was just dying to become like the next funny girl, and she had her moments in this movie, but like, I found her really annoying. And then like Ilana Glazer, she was pretty cool. She played the activist. She was all right. She was just, I don't know, she's kind of there. She wasn't like a leader or follower or get out of the way. She was just kind of there. And then Zoe Kravitz, who I still think is the most overrated celebrity, and obviously Lenny Kravitz, that really helps being, you know, her dad. But like, I just don't get it with her. I don't really see the big deal about her. And lastly, Kate McKinnon, who my wife and I both love from SNL and Ghostbusters. She was weird in this movie, and my wife and I both agreed, like, it wasn't very funny. It was just really weird. So I don't know what her whole role was, but like, if she tried to like ad-lib a lot, it wasn't very funny. I've never said that once about Kate McKinnon. Kate McKinnon is like one of the queens of being funny, but she was not very funny. I don't know. But there was a lot of, like I said, but the person who stole the show for me in this movie was the husband-to-be of Scarlett Johansson. I don't know who the guy was. It's kind of a skinny little brunette kind of guy. I don't know who he was, but he was hilarious. And he gets like a weird phone call when they were going through all that trouble in Miami. with the strippers dying, and he thought that she wanted to end it. So like he went absolutely nuts, and like did one of those the sad astronaut thing where he wears a diaper and drives all the way to his loved one to try to win them back, which he doesn't stop at all to go to the bathroom. He just pees and poops in his diaper, and he had so much Adderall, which keeps you awake, and he had so much Red Bull, and he was actually the one that stole the show for me in the movie. Like, he was hilarious, and the only thing was, like, he was just so emasculated. Like, I don't know, like, it's just like, that's not what I would think a grown man would act, but it is what it is. But anyway, the movie was pretty funny. I probably would not watch it again. I definitely would not buy it. I always go out of 5 stars. I'd say about 2 stars out of 5. I don't know, that's being really generous. Babe, what'd you say?
2.5.
2.5 stars. My beautiful wife says 2.5 stars out of 5. So that's what it is, and I'm not going to take any more of your time. But you guys take it easy, and bye.